You're welcome to Unit 6, Section 5. Having dealt with some theoretical aspects of VAT, we now move on to the computation of VAT. So in today's session, we are looking at calculation of VAT. By the end of the session, you should be able to distinguish between input VAT and output VAT, compute the VAT on taxable supplies. Every registered person is required to do three things: pay VAT, which is the input tax, on all taxable purchases of goods and services, and obtain tax receipts. Then you're also required to charge VAT, which is the output tax, on all taxable sales of goods and services, and issue tax invoice for them. At the end of the month, you are to deduct the total input from the total output tax and remit only the difference to the VAT office. If the output VAT is more than the input VAT, the difference is paid to the VAT office. However, if the input VAT is more, it is a refund from the VAT office, but that rarely happens. Let us look at input tax and output tax. So input tax is VAT charged on suppliers on purchases made by customers and include goods and services supplied, goods imported, goods removed from a wholesale. It also includes the VAT on things like office equipment for a business, telephone bills for business purposes, payment of services, payment for services for a business, example, accountants and legal fees. Let us look at output tax. This is VAT a registered person charges his customers when he makes taxable supplies of goods and services at a rate specified by law. The rate was 12.5% plus National Health Insurance Levy (NHIL) and Get Fund Levy (Ghana Education Trust Fund), which were 2.5% each. With the passage of the Value Added Tax Amendment Number 2 Act 2022 Act 1087 by Parliament as law, the VAT rate has been increased from 12.5% to 15%. The NHIL and the Get Fund Levy remains at 2.5%. And we have the COVID levy, which is 1%. And these levies are calculated on the chargeable amount. Note that items that attract a zero rate of VAT also attract a zero rate of Get Fund, NHIL, and the COVID levy. The base for charging VAT is the value of all the supply, including the chargeable levies and excluding the deductible VAT. So we have to compute the 12.5 NHIL, 2.5 NHIL, the 2.5 Get Fund, and the COVID levy of 1% on the value of the taxable supply before computing the 15% VAT on that value. Now, before we look at an example of how this is computed, let us talk about the flat rate scheme. The VAT flat rate scheme is a VAT collection and accounting mechanism under which a registered taxpayer who is a retailer or wholesaler of goods applies a marginal VAT rate of 3% on the value of taxable goods supply. This means that VAT registered taxpayers who are exclusively retailers of taxable goods cannot operate the standard VAT scheme. All VAT registered retailers of taxable goods with an annual turnover equal to or more than 200,000 Ghana cedis but not exceeding 500,000 Ghana cedis qualify to operate the VAT flat rate scheme. Let us look at an example. Bar Limited, a manufacturing company, made a supply of goods to a customer for a sum of 500,000 exclusive of VAT, NHIL Get Fund COVID-19 levy. Required. Compute the relevant taxes payable. Assume the VAT rate of 12.5. So we learned that before the 15% is computed, we have to first find the taxable value inclusive of NHIL, Get Fund, and then the COVID levy. So we first have to compute for NHIL, Get Fund, COVID levy before we apply the 50%. So the value excluding VAT, NHIL, Get Fund, COVID levy, we have 500,000. So now we compute NHIL. We have 2.5% times 500,000. And this is going to give us 12,500. Then we also have to do for Get Fund. 12.5% times 500,000. And this also gives us 12,500. Then we have the COVID-19 levy, which is 1% times 500,000. And this is giving us 5,000. So when we add this, we are going to get 30,000. And we can name this total levies. Then when we add it to the amount excluding VAT, NHIL, Get Fund, COVID levy, we are going to get 530,000. And this is the amount excluding VAT. Now we compute the VAT on this amount. The question told us to assume a rate of 12.5%. So we are going to get 66250. We are going to get a total gross amount of 596,250. And this amount is the gross amount including VAT, NHIL, Get Fund, COVID. Okay, let us look at another example. The following information relates to BB, a VAT registered trader who deals in both taxable and exempt supplies in respect of the month June 2021. So we have relief supplies 20,000, exempt supplies 100,000, input tax on taxable supplies 19,000, input tax on exempt supplies 15,000, input on common supplies, that is, cannot be directly attributed to supply 10,000, and value of taxable supplies, VAT inclusive, 460,000. We are required to compute BB's claimable input VAT for the month of June. Assume VAT rate to be 12.5%. I'm giving you a few seconds to put down the question, then we solve it. I believe we have the question now. Now let us look at the solution. BB Limited computation of input VAT claimable. So for this question, we are interested in finding the input tax claimable. So we have to find the portion of input tax on taxable supplies of common supply plus the input tax on the taxable supply to give us the total claimable input tax. So we are going to use this formula. Value of taxable supplies excluding VAT over value of total supplies multiplied by the input tax on common supply. So we are going to use this formula to find the portion of input tax claimable on the common supply. Okay, so before that, let us look at the value of taxable supplies excluding VAT. So we have the value inclusive to be 460,000. So to find the value excluding, we have 100 over 112.5 times 460. And this is giving us 408,889. 408,889. Now that we have our value excluding VAT, let us find the input tax deductible from the common supplies. But before that, we also have to find the value of total supplies. The value of total supply is equal to taxable supplies plus exempt supply. So now we are going to get 408,889 over 408,889 plus 100,000 multiplied by 10,000. So this is the value excluding VAT, and these two here are the total supplies. So we are going to get 408,889 plus 100. So we have 408,889 over 508,889 multiplied by 10,000, and this is going to give us 8035. So this is the input tax deductible or claimable from the common supply. So now we have to find the total input tax claimable. Remember, in the question we had input on taxable supplies to be 19,000. So we are going to add it to the 8,035. So we have total input tax claimable is equal to 19,000 plus 8035, and this is giving us 27035. 27035. So that is the total input tax claimable by BB Limited. So if you are given a question in this form, this is how you go about it. Let us take our last example. An importer imports raw materials worth 15,000, sells the raw materials to a manufacturer at 28,000. The manufacturer converts the raw material into finished goods and sells to a distributor at 42 Ghana cedis. and sells to a distributor at 42,000 Ghana cedis. The distributor in turn sold the finished goods to a retailer at 60,000 Ghana cedis. The retailer sold to the final consumer at 75,000. Compute the VAT payable at each stage of the production distribution chain. Assume VAT of 15%, that is 12.5% plus 2.5 NHIL. So we first have to compute for the value added and then the VAT at each production distribution chain. Then we'll come to compute the VAT payable to VAT office. So let's start. So we have value, we have VAT. So we'll first compute the input and then the output tax. So in the first transaction was between a manufacturer and an importer. So we have an importer, value added, and then we have manufacturer. So this is the stage one, manufacturer. So the importer had it for 15,000 and we sold it for 28,000. This means that the value we have added is 13,000. So now let's compute for the input and then the output VAT. So the output VAT is on sales and input is on purchases. So we are going to get input tax of 2250. We are going to get output tax of 4200. Please, I hope we are following. Then we have stage 2. Stage 2 was between the manufacturer and the distributor. The manufacturer and the distributor. So we have manufacturer here, 28,000, value added, and then we have distributor. We sold to the distributor for 42,000. So the difference between 28 and 42,000 gives us 14,000. That is our value added. So here the input tax is 4200 and then the output is 6300. Now let us look at stage 3, which is between the distributor and then the retailer. The distributor and the retailer. So the distributor has it at a price of 42,000 and sells to the retailer at 60,000. So the value added here is 18,000. So the input tax on 42,000 is 6300, and and the output tax is 9, and then the output tax is 9,000. Then the last stage, which is between the retailer and the final consumer. So the retailer had it at a price of 60,000 and we sold it to the final consumer for 75,000. So it means that we added value of 15,000. So the input tax here is 9,000 and the output tax here is 11250. Now we have to find the difference between the input and the output VAT. So we said that every registered business does three things. You first pay input tax, you charge output tax, and then you remit the difference to the office. So we found input and output. Now we have to find the difference. So VAT treatment. Okay, so for stage 1, we had the output tax of 4200, and then we had the input tax to be 2250. So we have an amount of 1950, and this is payment to VAT office. Then stage 2, we had output tax to be 6300, and then our input tax to be 420. When we deduct, we are going to get 2100. This is also payment to VAT office. Then stage 3, we had output tax to be 9,000 and input tax to be 6300. So the difference is 2700. This is also payment to VAT office. Then the last stage, stage 4, we had output tax to be 11250 and our input tax to be 9,000. The difference is 2250, and this is also payment of VAT. Payment to VAT office. So we have looked at 3 different examples of how the VAT question can be asked. This brings us to the end of today's session. In today's session, we dealt with input and output VAT and how to compute the VAT payable to the authority. Please, if you did not get the computation, you can always replay the video, and this time slowly, and you follow through the questions and examples to get the concept. Thank you.